Hello, and thank you for choosing Anxious at Bedtime, the podcast. That was a weird intro, but it's there now.
That's a cash.
I'm Cash, I'm one of the hosts, and that's Monica,
Uh-huh.
another one of the hosts.
And Kevin is down yonder, if you hear him. Do you have any ketchup? Oh, I should get closer. Do you have any ketchup?
No, I'm feeling a little under the weather right now, so
I know, I'm
sorry for the
sorry.
sound of my voice and my incoherence.
World-wise, there's a lot of ketchup, but things are kind of depressing, and I want this to remain a...
Positive, enlightening, well, anxious, angst, what? Angst-inducing, fun.
Yeah,
We don't want it to be like
no, I want to step
real
away
life
from,
scary.
what's it called? Like a retreat from real life stuff,
But they
current
might say
stuff.
aliens are real here soon. I mean, they made a website that doesn't really work or anything, but
Did they?
yeah,
Oh.
nothing working yet. They're saying they're going to disclose it, and if you know anything about Bashar, there's the year 2026 they start making communication. 2027 is their presence.
Explain who
That's what they
Bashar
say.
is.
Oh gosh, I don't want to do all that. I think I've covered it before. Bashar is an entity that is channeled through. I don't remember the guy's name, but he's speaks for a hybrid species of alien, or I don't know what the hell they're called. Anyways, yeah, it's a hybrid that tells us, our connection in between us and other interstellar beings, allegedly.
So it's kind of like a seance, but instead of a ghost coming through, it's an alien
He
comes through this
channels him.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's very interesting to watch. I can't lie, I don't know for sure if I believe it. Um, but it's interesting for sure.
there's a lot of it that's interesting. And when I listen to it, it just makes me go into conspiracy theories, like the one I told you about the maybe we are from Mars and
Yeah.
destroyed that planet, and that's why from nuclear destruction on Mars. And that's why we decided, hey, we gotta find a new home planet, like all the movies are based off of. Some
Mm-hmm.
aliens destroying their planet and coming to Earth. That was us.
Yeah. And maybe,
That's why we're the only beings on Earth that build something to live in, build things to do, and destroy everything as opposed to everything else. That's non-invasive, utilizes Mother Nature. That's just a conspiracy theory, allegedly.
but it is interesting.
And we're about to nuke the fuck out of this planet too. That's wild.
I hope not, but I
Hopefully
just said
not.
I don't want to talk about that
Oh
here.
yeah, sorry. I'm not a good listener either.
Random little tinfoil hat moment though. In the book that I've been referencing for the Betty and Barney Hill stuff, there's a chapter that I'm not quite sure how it connects to the hills. Sometimes there's just random information in there. I don't know. It's still like interesting, but I'm like, why is this here? Anyway, this woman talks about how she can telepathically intercept communication between aliens.
Ooh,
And yeah, after the government tested hydrogen bombs in the Pacific Ocean, these aliens were making their way to Earth to repair the fault lines in the ocean because if the fault lines broke, it would affect the magnetic pole of the whole universe. So it was like this whole, like they looked into it.
yeah, like dude, if you fuck California off of the U.S., that's gonna fuck up the whole solar system. We can't be
Yeah.
having that.
Isn't that weird though?
That'd be
Because
pretty fucking
again,
cool if I could, do that. Just channel aliens.
I don't think I'd like that. I don't
If
like
I could, that's rude.
noise.
Don't hold me
No.
back.
No, but that would be cool if you could. I wouldn't like it. I get too what's it called? Overstimulated too easy.
Yeah, you get that from just talking to me.
Yeah.
Imagine if you couldn't see who's talking to you.
Oh my gosh.
The
Or
moment
like
you thought you had schizophrenia.
yeah, or like trying to talk to somebody in person and then they start talking in your head. No. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Because again, it's aliens in the ocean. It very much intrigues me right now.
Aliens in the ocean. Ba 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 ba.
That's a Jonas Brothers song.
I don't think it is.
Cake by the Ocean.
That's not aliens in the ocean. That that was my song just now.
Anyway, to get started, if you missed parts 1 and 2, Betty and Barney Hill are a married couple who went on their honeymoon and had a run-in with a UFO.
Ooh.
When they got home after the encounter, they realized they had 2 hours of unexplained missing time.
Do 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 do.
Barney started getting physically sick, and when his doctors couldn't figure out why, they sent him to a psychologist who then sent him to a renowned hypnotherapist. That doctor put him and Betty through hypnotherapy and uncovered those missing hours. When their sessions were all said and done, their doctor gave them the tapes and said they should listen to them a few times for exposure therapy. The Hills didn't want to listen to them alone, so they invited over Ben Sweet, an Air Force officer, and his wife to listen to them. Of that night, Ben said, "I was skeptical at first, but hearing what was on those tapes, plus the fact that they didn't want any publicity, convinced me that they were telling the truth. For example, under hypnosis, Barney described seeing the UFO hovering close to the ground near the road. He got out of the car, he walked toward it, and he looked through binoculars. Something like a man was looking at him out of a window, right into his eyes, and started putting thoughts into his mind. He says, 'Come a little closer. Don't be scared.' I used to talk to rabbits like that when I was hunting them." Just before the point on the tape where Barney started screaming, "I've got to get out of here," and ran back to the car, the physical Barney jumped up and ran out to our kitchen and vomited in the sink.
Wicked.
I thought that would be pretty hard to fake. So that speaks volumes to me because this was their first time listening to the tapes. And as Barney was starting to like relive the scary, like you heard that part of the tape where he's like
Oh,
in
yeah.
hysterics.
He was terrified.
As they were getting to that, physically, as he's listening to it, he gets so scared that he throws up. That's
He's scared
insane.
about it still, so yeah.
Truly. I also think it's interesting to note that several other people, including other doctors, listened to the tapes, and many, including Dr. Simon, the guy who did the hypnotherapy and tried to explain it away as Betty talking in her sleep, they all seem to agree that the first part of the encounter, when they first see the UFO follow them and in the field and all of that, that seems real.
It probably was.
Yeah.
For
Um,
sure.
for sure. Dr. Simon even said he'd never seen such an intense physical fear response, not even in the war veterans he treated on the battlefield, as he did in Barney. So most people have said that if the first part is true, how can they not believe that the second part is also true?
Exactly. You
Yeah,
would have to.
you'd have to.
And if you don't, you're
Dr. Simon.
yeah, you're choosing not to at that point.
Yeah. But also, remember how we talked about Betty and Barney returning to the mountains where the abduction happened?
I do not.
After the abduction, when they first started talking to, I think it was Walter Webb from NICAP, the Boston guy,
Yeah.
he said, "Why don't you guys return there and maybe it'll jog some memory of what you're missing." And so they would go there often. And then remember one of the times they came back home, that's when they found the pile of leaves on their dining room table?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pile of leaves.
Yeah. So they did that often. Not the leaves, the going back to the mountains.
Well, it could have been the pile of leaves often too. They just didn't document it. Who
That's
knows?
fair. But yeah, they went many times in search of anything that they could use as proof that they really did experience what they described. And one day, they found something.
A whole ass alien saying, "What up, player?
I
I've been
wish.
waiting."
No. They were driving when Barney took a left, and suddenly they both recognized exactly where they were. They looked for the turn onto the gravel road, and then there it was. Then they found the spot where the men blocked the road, and right off to the side was the path they took to the ship. They followed the path, passing through the large trees that they remembered being there, that they even drew in the pictures, remember? And they came to a clearing. It had sand, which Betty remembered walking on, and it had charred trees and branches, and it looked exactly like Barney's drawings.
What kind of propulsion was in the UFO?
I don't
I mean
know.
the UAP.
Yeah.
The dang old spaceship. What
A
kind of dang
spaceship.
old
The
propulsionaries was that?
flying saucer is my
Pew!
favorite.
With fuel? Why'd it scorch stuff?
I don't know, but that like I don't know. That's so interesting to me. Exactly where they remember it being in their hypnosis. They found a spot that looked exactly like that with these weird signs. Like, why would trees be charred? Some of them, it was like the entire tree.
Exactly. So that's not really it. They just got fooled believing it was that because, spaceships don't char trees.
Okay.
They treat it with kindness.
Yeah,
That's why they don't believe? I don't know.
I don't know. To them, that was like this. This happened. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
is our proof. This is what we needed. I don't care if anyone else believes. Again, I want to apologize so much. I don't know if we're both sick or what's going on.
Oh, I am.
For sure you are. But my throat, I feel like I sound like a cigarette mom right now. And I apologize for that.
I probably sound sexy. I'm just sick, though.
So sexy.
So sexy.
We should just hand the notes over to Kevin and let Kevin take over, but I don't know where he is now. Probably under your chair.
No, he dipped. He
Mm.
realized he might have to take over, and he was like, "No, I'm out. I'm napping."
Okay, so after the Hills finally got some answers, things started looking up for them. They felt like they could finally move on. They got extremely involved with their church. They served as envoys with the United Nations, and they were heavily involved with the NAACP. They were also extremely heavily involved in politics. They did a lot of work with voter registration for, I think it was the College of New Hampshire.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Betty, Barney, and their niece Kathy, the one who wrote the book, or was a big part of writing the book and all of the documents, and
Yeah,
yeah. The three of them were invited to Lyndon B. Johnson's inauguration.
me too. I remember that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a wild year.
They attended a session in the Senate. Like, they were involved.
Well, yeah, they wanted to keep them quiet about the aliens.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But as we know, they were not able to push away the experience for long. Betty and Barney were one of few interracial couples at the time, and there was still a lot of racism, and ultimately, that was a large driving force behind them not wanting the story to go public. They were both very active within the civil rights movement. Barney even gave multiple speeches at rallies, and he served as a leader at both the state and federal levels. I don't remember the names of everything, but he was like an elected like official.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty wicked.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying wicked lately.
Because of all of that, they were worried that if the news got out of their abduction, it would discredit all of the work they've done.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially back then.
Yeah,
Even nowadays,
100%. It's dumb, but it's a fear.
Okay, I thought you were saying that it's dumb not to believe.
No, it's dumb
'Cause we
that
have
it's
a
an
whole
issue.
podcast.
It's dumb that people can't just say, like, hey, I experienced this crazy thing without repercussions.
Right, people are allowed to believe in a lot of different wild things, but then we're so critical
Yeah,
of others for their beliefs. Like we're
exactly.
allowed to have our own beliefs, but then we don't believe in somebody else's belief and they're silly, they're stupid. It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
me either. It definitely is silly. But that's the reason why they were scared to tell the public about their experience because they could have faced immense backlash. For example, Barney worked for the government with the Postal Service. B-
Mm,
Betty was a social worker and she was fighting for children that didn't have anyone else to fight for them.
and
And
they would have
that
thought she was nuts and she couldn't help any kids.
exactly, they would have branded her as like not safe to be around kids because she's crazy. And her job was very important to her. These were not people that were looking for their 5 minutes of fame. I don't care what anybody says. I completely just lost my train of thought.
See, that happened to me a moment ago.
Yeah, that's weird. But anyway, that's when a reporter named Brian Luttrell comes into the picture.
What's up, Brian Luttrell?
We don't like Brian.
Bitch. Excuse my language.
The Hills heard through friends that he was interviewing basically anyone they ever talked to about their experience.
Oh, he's trying to be one of those disprovers.
No,
Even worse.
even worse. But the Hills had yet to hear from him themselves. He had drawn some of his own false conclusions about what happened to them, like that the Air Force Base paid for their therapy sessions in exchange for complete secrecy from the Hills. So basically, they paid for therapy to silence them, which didn't happen.
Eh,
And that's just an example. There were other things that were like completely wrong, and they're like, "Why is this guy like keep our name out of your mouth?" You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Will Smith on him.
Yeah. So Barney calls this guy up, and he requested an interview, but the date that Brian picked didn't work for the Hills because they were going to be out of town.
Yeah, they have prior obligations.
Because they're so busy with all the social work and stuff.
Yeah.
So they told Brian like that's not going to work for us. We'll be out of town. Um, but we don't even have to really do an interview. We just don't want an article published about us no matter what. And somehow all Brian heard was, "Yes, let's meet on that day. Can't wait to see you." So he showed up on that day and waited for like a couple hours and then was so upset that they never showed up.
Well, yeah, you would be upset if people that never planned on being there didn't show up.
Yeah. Like, come on, Brian, good gravy. Quick side note though. Something interesting that didn't get talked about back then and is barely talked about today. This Brian guy also interviewed, I think it was 13 other people that saw a UFO the same night that the Hills had their experience. He never reported on them. He never wrote an article on them. And when he left the newspaper, I think it's the Boston Times, he gave all of his interview notes and stuff to his boss, and then all of the files just disappeared.
That's fucked up. Like, where did that all go? How do we
Yeah.
know he interviewed 13 other people, that like 13 other people have come forward and been like, that fucker interviewed me too?
No,
If all those notes are gone.
because in modern times when the Hill's niece Kathy, basically we'll get to it a bit more later, but people start like not believing the Hills and like weird stuff is being published, it's 60 years later. I mean, it was like 40 years at that time. But anyway, weird stuff is being published, and Kathy is seeing headlines and she's like, this isn't lining up with what I know from my aunt and uncle. Like, that doesn't make sense. So she starts looking into everything herself. She gets her hands on all of the files, all of the documents, everything she can find. And that in those papers, she found out that he had interviewed 13 other people. It was 13 or 14.
So she found his
Yeah,
box,
she found it, but couldn't find the actual interviews, just him, like his
his
notes
notes.
talking
Yeah.
about, I interviewed all these people. So she was like, why didn't any of that be released? Especially when people were like not believing Betty and Barney. He could have been like, hey, there's this too.
I guess we'll get to it. Let's see what else you
No, I
got.
have no answer for that.
Oh, he was just a dick?
Yeah, he was just him or his boss. I don't know.
Just a dick, Brian.
Yeah. As for his interview with the Hills, though, a month went by and no article was released. So the Hills thought that it was over, right? Like they finally let out the breath they were holding. They assumed Brian finally got it through his thick skull how dangerous an article like that could be for them. But unfortunately, that still was not the end.
Dick.
I know. The Hills were previously invited to a meeting with the two-state UFO study group. They assumed it was just people like them looking for answers, and they felt comfortable enough to share their story. It's a safe space. They still like to talk about it to like
Yeah, it's like an
vent.
AA meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You got an AA meeting, you just go so that you don't necessarily have to have the court order to go to
Exactly.
them. You could still go to tell your story and be
And,
involved in. Yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't know that someone recorded their story and Brian got his hands on that recording. It's unclear if somebody, like a random person, recorded it or if Brian was there undercover
That's
and
probably
recorded
Brian,
it.
the
I think
dick.
so, yeah. Brian also interviewed their friends and other NICAP members who openly talked about everything on their hypnosis tapes. But that's like a HIPAA thing, right? How old is a HIPAA?
I don't know.
Ugh,
Not that old, I don't think.
it feels illegal.
That might be why.
Maybe.
Because of them, they're like, you fucker,
Yeah.
dick.
Brian talked to people at the Air Force Base. He got a copy of their Blue Book file. He even somehow stole Walter Webb's file on them. A month later, in the middle of the night, the phone starts ringing from people in Europe calling to ask about the story that just released, calling the Hills.
That's got to be an expensive ass phone call. I
Dude,
would not have answered.
it had to have been. I don't think they knew. Back then, your phone rings in the middle of the night, you pick it up,
I don't know. See, I don't typically answer nowadays, so I
I
think I would have been
definitely
safe back then
don't.
too.
Yeah.
Only if there's a silent on the phone. Otherwise, cover my head in a pillow.
Oh, yeah. That's fair. Then the media swarmed Barney at work outside the post office, surrounded their home. The phone rang around the clock. It was bad. One day, Betty came home from work, and when she opened the front door, a bunch of media people were already inside her home.
Oh, what a shot.
Yeah.
Would have been like, you guys got to stay right there.
Hold on. To top it off, it wasn't just one article either, but they saw in the article that it was going to be a 5-day like spread. So like an article every day for 5 days.
Oh, I'd have been like, yeah, definitely not 5 days. If you guys got 5 days worth of breaking and entering, I got 5 days worth of bullets, but I don't have 5 days worth of fucking house and home for you to be here. Get out. I digress.
But yeah, what the heck? So right after all of that happened, Betty and Barney were leaving Betty's parents' house when they spotted the same orange ball they saw the night of their abduction. It was a couple hundred yards from the road. It moved towards a pond, through a field, across treetops, and it moved in a weird, erratic path and then disappeared.
I was watching them like fucking snitches.
Yeah, exactly. Now remember, part of Barney's initial fear of talking about the experience was because he felt the men didn't want him discussing it. The aliens didn't,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
They're
that's
like, you
weird.
fucking snitch. Oh, Barney, we knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Brian was really a spy for the aliens.
Maybe. Ooh. Um,
Dick.
I don't think so. I think Brian was completely just out there doing his own thing. The Hills decided they weren't going to let anyone else tell their story. If it had to be shared, they would be the ones to share it so that it got shared accurately.
Understandable.
So they held a forum at the Pierce Memorial Unitarian Universalist Church in Dover, New Hampshire.
That's a mouthful of
Yeah.
words.
More than 600 people attended.
That's how many words you just had to say to
That
tell me where it was at.
that's how it felt. Yeah. They shared some history of UFO sightings. They shared their entire experience, and then they opened it up for questions, and the crowd erupted. But thank the heavens, they got an overwhelmingly positive response from everybody there. There was only one person that was a little bit of an ass.
Fucking Brian.
No, maybe. It was a man, of course. And he stood up and he said, "Tell me, Mr. Hill, whether or not you are happy to be here." What?
Another alien? Like, do you want to fucking go back to my ship, big
Oh,
boy?
maybe. But Barney paused for a second because, like, how do you answer that? What kind of question is
I would
that?
have been like, this specific room, or
Yeah.
like, be more specific, sir.
This town, the church that I can't say the name of?
I need to know what we're wondering about my happiness. What location?
Yeah.
Do you have a date planned?
So he paused, though, and then Betty tugged his shirt and whispered that he should just say yes. So Barney said, "My wife says to say I am happy to be here, so I guess I am happy." And everyone starts laughing, and that guy just walked out of the building.
See, he is gonna fucking kidnap him.
He might have been, yeah. Or
Fucking
he might have.
Brian.
Because of the positive support they received, the Hills felt comfortable moving forward sharing their experience in more public ways, which led to the book The Uninterrupted Journey being written. There have been tons of books written since then, movies, TV shows based on them. They even did TV show guest appearances.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the show, but the show that like gets referenced a lot, Slim Shady does it, where it's like, "Will the real Slim Shady please stand up?" That.
I don't know.
It was a TV show back then where it was like they would have three people and they would answer the questions as like the person, and then the viewers would guess like who's the real guy. Anyway, they did that with Barney. He was on it. And so it was like, "Will the real Barney Hill please stand up?" And he stands up and everyone cheers like, "Oh, I guess
Oh.
wrong." Yeah.
Alright.
So they did TV appearances, stuff like that. I just thought that was fun.
That is pretty fun.
Yeah, I like that for him.
I love that for him.
Now for the proof, okay?
Oh, it's in the pudding.
It is in the pudding. First of all, Betty's dress.
Made a
Her
pudding.
her, her dress had been studied and tested. They found
Told you.
multiple
Pudding.
Okay, hold on.
Vanilla, butterscotch.
They found multiple like stains and rips and all that stuff that cooperates her story of them like ripping the zipper and all that.
Yeah.
But like the most interesting part is after a couple years they had a thought, hold on, let's flip the dress inside out. Yeah. So they did that and they tested it, and on the inside lining of the dress, right about where her belly button would go, they found like human body fluid stains, as if like somebody stuck a giant needle in
It
your belly
came from the
button.
inside of her epidermis.
Yeah,
Oh,
her belly button, right?
they only would have tested that earlier.
I know. They also found, I I'm not a very like sciencey person, okay? So I'm doing my best with this proof.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
They found some sort of like pink substance on her dress, like a pink powder. They tested it and there was like organic materials, but they couldn't figure out exactly what it was.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Didn't make a whole lot of sense to me though. And then this part, you remember the star map that Betty drew?
I do.
Yeah, the alien showed her and he was like, "Can you tell me where you are?" And she's like, "I don't know." And he's like,
I
"Oh,
don't
then I'm
know
not
what the
going to
hell
tell
that is.
you."
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1974, a school teacher from Ohio named Marjorie Fish, who was an amateur astronomer, a member of Mensa, she had a super high IQ. She was a very smart lady, okay? She saw the star map and captured the Betty and Barney Hill UFO experience, which I think is the book I read.
I think so.
Yeah. It was either that book or The Uninterrupted Journey. I might have written it down wrong. Anyway, she was reading a book. She saw the drawing of the star map. She was extremely skeptical of it But she was like, if we could find proof that this spot on the map really exists, we could prove that aliens are real. So
Hmm?
she shot her shot, you know? She made 14 different 3D models using fishing line and beads. And eventually, years later, as new information was discovered about space from scientists, so information that previously did not exist at all, once it was discovered, she was able to find a perfect match down to every single star.
How likely is that? One in like 12?
I don't know.
Probably not that.
Not that, but not likely either.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, if this spot on the map, if like it's the same area, the beings that abducted the hills came from Zeta Reticuli, 39 light years from Earth. The stars in that system are the perfect candidates to house planets that could support life just like Earth, and that is proven.
Yeah, but how do we get there?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Once they figure that part out,
they'll probably leave us here and go.
probably.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
But isn't that so interesting?
That is pretty interesting.
It exists. And I don't care what anybody says. Yes, Betty Hill was extremely smart. She was extremely like her own person. A woman in the 60s that was not in science is not going to be able to draw a map that did not exist yet for an area of space that we had not seen yet.
She did because she had seen it though.
Because she'd seen it. Exactly.
That makes
She was
sense.
shown it from
Damn,
somebody else. Yeah. That's insane.
that is pretty insane.
Now I want to talk about the illnesses that the Hills experienced after their encounter. First up is Delcy, their dog. As far as we know, she was not taken aboard the ship. Remember, she was still in the car.
Yeah, she was. I heard.
A few weeks after everything happened, she developed a skin infection, basically a yeast infection, all over her skin, like all over.
Ew, yuck.
Yeah, the poor baby. She also started behaving weirdly while she slept, as if she were having nightmares, which was unusual for her.
Yeah, poor
Yeah,
puppy.
I know. And then, do you remember how Barney said when he was being examined, he felt a cup placed on his groin?
Yes.
Shortly after they returned home, he developed 21 warts
They
in
gave
a
him fucking genital warts.
in a perfect circular pattern right where the cup was placed. And remember, he didn't know about the cup for a while, so he got home, had these warts develop, and then 4 years later or whatever in hypnotherapy, he was like, "Oh shit, that's why I got the warts."
Mm,
Yeah.
but it was Brian.
Barney never had warts before that. And when he was doing hypnotherapy, the warts became inflamed and infected so bad that he had to have them surgically removed. So once he started remembering and sharing his story, they inflamed.
They were like, stop fuck. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were trying to punish him for it.
that's weird. And at first, his doctor diagnosed them as venereal warts, but the surgeon that removed them realized that that's not what they were at all. They still went through the process and removed them because, like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was purely for cosmetic purposes because they had no idea what it was.
He's like, there was 20 little people in those little lumps,
That'd
and
be
they were
weird.
arguing with me.
After their story was outed, Betty and Barney both started getting sick. Betty even asked if she could cut back her hours at work to part time, but her employers ultimately recommended that she take a leave of absence instead because she was so sick.
Eesh. That's how you know she's hella sick. Employers don't do that.
Exactly. She developed polyps on her vocal cords, which she had to have surgically removed twice, which resulted in her not being able to talk for a while. When she was able to use her voice again, the surgeries had completely changed it. Basically, she sounded, I guess, how I sound right now. Like it said she sounded like she smoked
Raspy.
for, yeah,
Uh,
a long time. Which she did smoke, but she didn't sound like that before. She was hospitalized with pericarditis. I think I said that right.
I don't know what it is, so I'm going to go with yes, you did.
It's an inflammation of the sac around your heart.
Oh,
Did
then
you
yeah,
guys
you
know
did.
your heart rolls up?
Oh, yeah.
We just saw a video on that.
Well, don't bring that up until we get more science behind it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, your heart is
A fruit
a
roll up.
vortex, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the ventricles that we believe. You can unwind it and untwist it into one long muscle.
Yeah. At least according to a TikTok we saw. I didn't research that at
I,
all. Maybe I'll cut this. But anyway, Betty endured tumors, intense sweating, chest, back, and head pain, and even severe dizziness. And her doctors never found an explanation for any of it. There were even points where they thought she had cancer and she went and did all this testing and they're like, there's nothing wrong. Like, we've done every test we can. It's not cancer. It's not this. It's not that. Like, I don't know how to help. And all of those symptoms with no relief led to her retiring at 56.
It's an early retirement,
Yeah.
but a good.
Yeah. It was just sad because she loved her job, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Barney's health issues did clear up for a while, but then they came back twice as bad. One day he was driving to an appearance they were scheduled to make, and Barney started to get extremely dizzy, so bad that Betty had to take over driving. By the time they got to their destination, Barney couldn't even walk. He still gave his speech while leaning on a chair the whole time. And then on the way home, Betty took him to the hospital where they were unable to find anything wrong with him.
It is called the helical heart.
The helical heart?
Yeah,
What is
the
it?
your heart, the way that you can unroll it.
Yeah.
The human heart is a singular, continuous muscular band folded in double helix rather than a collection of separate intersecting musculars. This structure is known as the helical ventricular myocardial band, HVMB. Yeah, so it's
So it's
real.
real.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
wild. Why have we never seen that before?
They don't really talk about it. They don't like to teach
Yeah.
Americans.
I guess not. That's weird.
I don't know if other countries know that, but a lot of Americans never knew that.
Yeah. Like I said, I held a human heart in my hands, and they never said, like, you guys know it can
For
unroll.
science,
For
not somebody
science.
she killed or
I should
anything
have.
like
No,
that.
I took an
She left them
anatomy.
alone.
I took an anatomy class in
She never
college.
killed nobody.
No. Anyway, back to the seriousness of this. On December 24th, 1968, only 7 years after adopting her, their dog Delcy passed away unexpectedly from complications of dehydration and a bladder infection.
Eesh.
Yeah,
Oh. Maybe that close proximity to the UAP.
maybe. And the radiation or whatever.
Some.
Yeah. Then 2 months later, more grief found its way into the Hill home.
Oh no.
I know. Betty wrote about it in her journal, and it's so beautiful, and it had me sobbing so hard. So I want to let her tell it through her own words.
Are you gonna hit play?
No, I'm just going to read it. Barney and I had gone into our work, not realizing that we were heading into one of the worst snowstorms in our history. Soon, all businesses and offices were closed, and all travelers were warned to stay off the highways. We came home, a day of unexpected holiday. Barney was elated. For all of the years that he had worked at the post office, this was the first time it had closed because of weather. After a leisurely breakfast, we fed the birds in the backyard, which were flying around in the swirling snow looking for food. We tossed our bread out to them, and the birds came in large numbers. We watched them from the kitchen window. Barney challenged me to a game of pool, proclaiming that he could beat me with one hand tied behind his back. Barney and I went downstairs, and he built a fire in the fireplace. Then he beat me at 2 games of pool. He was teasing me about his winning and was showing his prowess. How do you say that? Prowess?
Prowess.
Prowess. In hitting his trick shots. What a happy frame of mind he was in, laughing and joking. Suddenly he put his hand to the back of his neck and said he felt as though a hornet had stung him. A hornet in February in a snowstorm. Impossible, I said. Then he felt a second sting and began to hurry upstairs. I saw him stumble on the stairs and continue his ascent as if he were crawling on his hands and feet. He sat on the couch and then he slipped onto the floor. He was very puzzled, and he told me that something was very wrong. A moment later, he asked me to call the ambulance. I put through an emergency call and then sat on the floor holding him until they arrived. Barney knew the ambulance crew, and they immediately started to kid him. "What's the matter, Barney? Is the snowstorm too severe for you to drive yourself?" Barney was clear-headed and remarked, "Why should I drive myself when I have you to do it for me?" The attendant began to reach for the oxygen, but after reading Barney's blood pressure, he put it away. He told Barney not to worry. He was going to be all right. I seconded the thought. The admitting doctor at the hospital had known me for many, many years, for we had been college students together. He asked Barney his birth date, and he gave the wrong date. Then his blood pressure was taken, and was admitted. He was beginning to become incoherent. Barney's doctor was unable to get into town because of the snowstorm, so he called a friend of his who lived close to the hospital. The doctor called me and said that he was walking there. When he arrived, he did a few tests and told me what I already knew, that Barney had suffered a stroke. How severe? He gave me a suggestion. If I had never prayed in my life, now was the time to do this. To pray that Barney would not survive. He said that I don't know why it chokes me up so bad, I'm sorry. He said that the survival rate for this type of stroke, a cerebral hemorrhage, was 3%. But if he survived, he could live in a vegetative state, possibly for several years. This was one of Barney's worst fears. Though much older than Barney, his father had suffered a stroke, which left him in a permanent vegetative state. The doctor said there was no point in my remaining at the hospital, for Barney was in a deep coma that he would not come out of. In fact, the death process had already begun, and the hospital would call me when he died. I kissed Barney goodbye and left. And at just 46 years old, Barney Hill passed away.
It's very sad.
Isn't it? But at least they got like that one last special day together, you know?
Yeah. He whooped her ass in pool so he didn't go out a loser.
Of course not. Not the Barney Hill. Oh my gosh, it makes me so emotional. A month after Barney's funeral, the first time that Betty left the house, she saw the craft again. It just bobbed around a bit, and she felt that they were probably curious about his death. So she got out of the car. She explained that he was buried in the cemetery and pointed in the direction of it. And then the craft bobbed a few more times and left in the direction she pointed. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
I gotta say, though, something that I didn't think about before is the fact that Barney nearly died of, like, his worst fear.
Yeah.
As if he was being punished. Like, that's weird.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
They were at him.
They were.
Fucking Brian.
I guess everyone started speculating loudly that Betty would likely die soon, too. And of course, that gave her so much anxiety. Because I didn't even mention, like, 10 months before Barney died, her father also passed away.
Well, that's fucked.
Yeah, so it was her father, then the dog, then Barney. So she's probably like, yeah, any day now, you know?
She's like, you guys are dicks.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm going to make it.
Yeah. Then she was also sort of being bullied in her home. One example I saw when she had gotten all of her tax stuff put together and she was ready to take it to her tax guy, and then it all just disappeared.
Fucking Barney.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that. She couldn't find it, and she had to file for an extension, and then one day, bam, the papers were just laying out in the middle of the floor. Sometimes she would come home to find all of her dining chairs lined up in a perfect circle in the living room with no explanation. Finally, she hit a point where she was like, this is crazy, I've got to do something. And she asked a neighbor to keep an eye on things, and on several occasions, that neighbor saw men dressed in black suits use a key to enter her house, even after she changed the locks.
See.
Mm-hmm.
Sus.
At some point, Betty's niece Kathy moved in with her to help give Betty peace of mind. And one day, Kathy heard someone open the door and walk through the house, so she assumed Betty was home, so she went to look, and Betty wasn't there. At first, Kathy started to look around, like maybe somebody broke in, I don't know. But then she realized if somebody did break in, they might still be in the house, so she booked it. But right after, she heard a crash that was quickly followed by the sound of running footsteps. So she ran outside to see, like, who's running out of the house, and she saw a stocky man run from the house to his car and then speed away. She went back in the house, like, what, did he steal something?
Yeah.
Had a little look around, and there was an open closet door and a baseball bat discarded on the floor, as if he was, like, hiding in the closet with the bat ready to swing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creep.
Yeah.
Fucking probably Brian.
Probably was. But Betty eventually had an alarm system installed. It got set off one time, and then everything was fine after that. She never had issues again. Yeah.
All it takes is one time. They knew better.
Yeah. Or they got smarter. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, that's more likely.
Yeah. As for Betty's health issues, they never cleared up, and her doctors were never able to find an explanation, which, like I said, led her to retiring at 56. She then threw herself into the world of UFOs and was hell-bent on finding proof that they were real. She was like the alien encounter grandma. She believed everyone. She listened to everyone's stories. She would go out to the locations that people had experiences. Like, she kind of offered trauma counseling in her own way. She would be the ear that people would,
How do people get paid for this? Because I'd absolutely do that shit.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty fucking fun.
It does sound pretty fun. But yeah, she was just kind and caring and truly just didn't judge people that said they experienced it. Unfortunately,
Aw, shit.
yeah, that sort of led to part of the UFO community turning on her.
Yeah, if you believe too many, they're like,
Yeah,
no.
exactly. That's kind of what they said. Like, you can't just believe every story. Like, you have to thoroughly vet. You can't just have someone say, I saw lights and am missing time now and believe it.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't care. Like, if they say they experienced something, I believe them.
Fair, I suppose.
Yeah. Just because she knew how it felt to not be believed,
Yeah, it's her choice to believe. Again, that's why
Exactly.
it's a belief. If it was fact, it wouldn't be belief.
Exactly.
If you knew, you can't believe in something that you know.
Yeah. So a lot of people kind of turned on her, and it made them to even start questioning if her encounter was real or faked, which is so shitty because they call it the Adam and Eve UFO encounter for a reason. Like, her and Barney catapulted UFO stuff into the public eye.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have the UFO community that we do today if it weren't for them.
Especially not the way it is.
Exactly. So it was really shitty that they would turn on her. But it didn't stop Betty. And she didn't just focus on ufology. Ufology?
Yeah, ufology.
She also researched genealogy and traced her entire family tree. She studied social psychology, archaeology, social justice, and politics. She was a lady about the town.
She was real bored when Barney died.
Yeah. In 1995, she published a book titled A Common Sense Approach to UFOs, which was written for a high school audience because Betty feared the declining education standards in America.
Way back then, huh?
Yeah. I think that's something so, well, yeah, that's not badass that she feared it. Yeah. But it's badass that she was like, these kids, these youngins,
They need to know about the fucking
they
aliens,
need
guys.
to know.
Stop lying to the youth. I'll put on a fucking show.
Yeah. But see, that's exactly what I was talking about. Her and Barney helped completely shape the UFO community and what we understand about UFOs today. I don't know, the thought that everything could still be completely under wraps like it was in like the 40s.
It kind of is.
But could you imagine completely under wraps? If you like talk to a random person on the street and you mentioned UFOs and they're like, what's a UFO?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
That's how they do it when I mention EFTs.
Exactly. What's an EFT? That's the money thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then Betty got stomach cancer twice, and apparently through everything, she was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, which ended up leading...
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does.
But that ended up leading to lung cancer, which would unfortunately be the cause of her death in 2004.
She went out doing what she loved, though. Ain't no hating that.
Yeah. But that's a pretty good reminder, kids. Don't smoke cigarettes, please.
Go out doing what you love. 2 different life lessons.
Yeah. Betty is buried with Barney in Greenwood Cemetery in Kingston, New Hampshire. And you can go see their grave if you wanted to.
Is there a fucking UAP or UFO on their headstones?
No, but there's probably one like watching them 24/7. Good gravy. Now, I want to talk about something that I stumbled upon that is super interesting. Oh, well, first we'll talk about their descriptions of aliens because we haven't covered that yet.
Okay.
Betty and Barney described the creatures they saw as having very large, slanted eyes that wrapped to the sides of their faces.
Ooh.
The eyes were almost entirely just iris with very little sclera, which is the white parts, and the parts that were visible were yellow instead of white.
Yeah, that would make sense. Pigmentation, depending on your environment.
Yeah. They also never blinked.
Probably didn't have eyelids.
Yeah, it was theorized that there's like a membrane covering like a...
Film.
Yeah, I was trying to think like fish. I don't think fish blink, right? I don't know.
Like a lizard.
Yeah, lizards. They also
Like
had
a
wide
reptile.
cheeks, weak chins, an oversized head, probably because of the large eyes.
Had to hold all them eyes in.
Yeah. It seemed they really couldn't control any movement in their mouths, and they like couldn't show emotions because of that.
Like meth mouth, or they just didn't move their mouth?
They just didn't move it.
Oh.
Yeah. When they did open their mouths, the Hills could see a membrane that fluttered when they communicated with each other. Like, oh.
Gross.
Yeah. And remember when they communicated with other aliens, it was like a humming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Probably
just
that
a little
second tongue in their mouth.
Yeah. They only had ear holes, no actual ears.
You don't need them when everything's just purring at you.
Yeah. This is interesting because I never thought about it. They had no no hair, no eyebrows, no eyelashes.
You just need that for Earth's cold environment.
I guess, yeah.
Earth's cold climate.
They had enlarged chests and thin,
Me
long
too.
legs that made them appear top heavy.
Me too.
Most of them were about 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall.
Me too.
4 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand.
Fucking A. I'm batting 1,000.
And the Hills had no, like, they didn't remember seeing fingernails.
I got those, though.
They had no teeth.
I do.
And gray-toned skin. But one thing that intrigued me that I saw a bit, but it wasn't super reported in all of their experiences, they described them as having elephant-like skin.
So, like, the texture or just color?
The texture. Isn't that weird?
That's peculiar.
Yeah. And then, I don't remember the case, but there was another case where somebody was, like, writing, I think, NICAP about their experience, and they mentioned the elephant-like skin. And they're like, how would they know about that? Yeah.
We've always presumed they have smooth skin.
Yeah. A NICAP member and watercolor artist named David Baker took those descriptions and also questioned Barney during some of his hypnotherapy sessions to get even more details. And he created charcoal forensic sketches of the creatures. When Betty and Barney saw the completed pictures, they both had physical reactions.
Did they throw up?
No.
Oh.
But Betty started pacing in circles.
That's weird.
Yeah. Baker also created watercolor paintings, and he created his own technique for these specific paintings called a vitreous flux for when he painted those, which I just thought was really cool. Like the Betty and Barney Hill case led to new art techniques too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
And if I remember, I will try to share some of those pictures on our social media. But if you wanted to go see those paintings in real life...
If you try to tell me they're at their gravesite, I'm going to call you a liar.
But you could go to the Betty and Barney Hill UFO collection in the University of New Hampshire Library. Along with the paintings, you could also find the Air Force Intelligence Report, Betty's journals, detailed essays written by Betty about things in their life, such as her parents and a look into her marriage, Betty's UFO star chart drawing, and I think the 3D model is there too, as well as like Betty's dress, Barney's shoes, drawings of the UFO, newspapers clippings, like it's all there. So I think that'd be dope. Like that's something I think would be
fun, yeah.
Really cool to go see, yeah. So if you're near the area, you can go and check that out and send me photos.
Or videos.
Also, sorry, I didn't put it in my notes, but I know it's there. In the area where the abduction happened,
yeah,
there's a plaque put in by New Hampshire, like the state.
Yeah, on a scorched tree?
No. Oh. It's like on the side of the highway, I think. That says, Betty and Barney Hill incident. On the night of September 19th to 20th, 1961, Portsmouth, New Hampshire couple Betty and Barney Hill experienced a close encounter with an unidentified flying object and 2 hours of lost time driving south on Route 3, RTE. I think that's Route 3, near Lincoln. They filed an official Air Force Project Blue Book report of a brightly lit, cigar-shaped craft the next day, but were not public with their story until it was leaked in the Boston Traveler in 1965. This was the first widely reported UFO abduction report in the United States, and you can go see that.
Oh, I can. Yeah. I saw the interterrestrial highway.
We did, yeah.
A few times, but, you know.
Yeah.
I did all that down there with the Rachel Nevadas and the... So we'll see what I do with that one.
Yeah, I think that'd be one of those little bucket lists,
Yeah.
So that is the story of a husband and wife who just wanted a quiet, long overdue honeymoon, and in one night had their lives changed forever. And the way that we look at the stars changed with them.
Rest in peace, Barney and Betty.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And dog.
I'm genuinely so sad that this series is over.
I can see that.
I know. And like I told you this the other day, it's not just that like we're done with the research, like it's over because they passed away, and that's so sad. Like they truly had a huge impact on the paranormal community.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the what do they call the alien community?
I think ufologists, but that might be like the professional.
Yeah,
So I just UFO community.
the alien community for
Yeah.
real. Like it's not just UFOs, dude. We're
No.
all about the aliens too. But yeah, they had a huge impact in a lot of the paranormal community
Yeah.
in different ways that people probably don't really know either.
Yeah.
It is pretty sad, but it's pretty dope to learn about them, and you did a really wonderful job teaching me about them.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
I really tried to do them justice. And like I said, I think in episode 1, I barely scratched the surface. Like there's so much more, especially everything Betty did after Barney passed away. Like she spearheaded so much paranormal type stuff.
Until they kicked her out of it, dicks.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. You can find us on social media. We have a
TikTok, Threads, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
If you or somebody you know has had a brush with the paranormal and you would like to have that story read on the podcast, please email it to anxiousatbedtimepodcast@gmail.com.
If you just want to email us some bullshit that's real fun to read, you can do that too. We like reading stories.
If you have questions for Ask Cash, send those our way as well.
The world can be a scary place with aliens probably following you around all the time and causing a lot of mishaps for no. Those guys are. That guy Brian's a dick, right?
God, Brian is a dick.
But we're probably fine.
We're probably fine.
Good night.
Sleep tight.
Tight.